Hey guys, well this is GrandOwlGaming, and today's video is going to be just a little bit different from normal. So I've really been thinking about it. It's been about a year or so, almost 2 years since Homestuck's departure, since its ending. And I just had to think, I was pondering, like, what kind of questions could I ask myself and Homestuck fans? So in this case, this is GrandOwlGaming's 6 questions you can ask a Homestuck fan. Let's get started, shall we?
I might lay back for a while. Tell me what would I do if I could feel?
What is your Homestuck origin story?
Now, by Homestuck origin story, I mean things basically like, how did you get into Homestuck? How did you find out about it? And what kind of steps you had to take in order to really get involved in the Homestuck fandom, or in this case, just reading Homestuck in itself. For me, it was a bit of a complicated story. It actually started a few years back when I was in middle school, so I want to say around 6 years ago, in which Homestuck was kind of at its height and its popularity, and there were some YouTube videos, about Homestuck and stuff, blah blah blah. Octopimp was becoming a popular channel at the time, but all in all, there was this video that I saw, kind of like what Homestuck fans are like, or something like that, or my reaction to Homestuck fans. I forgot what it was, and it was the scene from SpongeBob. I'm probably gonna put the link in the description or something, or the video will be on the side. I don't know, but basically, it was the fish from SpongeBob. The Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode, the scene when he was kissing the pillow and stuff like that. But they photoshopped the in-game sprite image of Terezi on there. So it's basically this fish, making out with this Terezi body pillow, and then, it was the "hey man, that's not cool" kind of thing. So basically, I was intrigued with who the girl on the pillow was, because at first I thought that this was, some kind of show that MTV was doing, because MTV also did, the other pixelated show, Code Monkeys. So that kind of had me thinking, like, okay, maybe MTV's doing something else now. So I decided to, read up and research it, and I was like, no wait, this is a webcomic. Now,
What is your favorite part of Homestuck?
so my favorite part of Homestuck, I have to say, would have to be around the time that Acts 4 and 5 were happening, and the beginning of Act 6. That, I feel, is where the real meat and potatoes of Homestuck come from. Act 1 is kind of good because it kind of sets itself up as though this is an actual game. So it kind of sets up the rules and stuff like that, as to where the rest of the story.
What could be or could have been improved in Homestuck?
When I think of Homestuck and what could be improved on, I mean, the first obvious thing would be the rest of Act 6 in this case. It just feels as though Act 6 becomes way too contrived, too many plot lines, and they try doing way too much stuff, especially with the concepts of the ancestors and the before us trolls and stuff like that. So now, instead of having a cast of 12 characters plus the other 4 that you have, making 16, plus the other 4 kids making, just a rounded out 20, now you end up having those 20 plus another 12 that come in, which basically makes this large number 32 and stuff like that. And the before us trolls in this case, they're not even used properly. I mean, they get these one-off stories and stuff like that. Like, there's so many things that technically weren't talked about yet, like things such as why the Makaras decided to devote themselves and the high blood culture to Lord English and stuff like that. That was a question that was ringing through my head a lot. Like, the moment I saw Kurloth and stuff like that, I was like, why? Because I knew that meant that he was connected to the Grand High Blood. So I was like, why would this particular part of troll society be devoted to Lord English? And of course, some people are just going to say hierarchy because, you know, the Imperial condensations, she somehow influenced the Makaras into, you know, worshipping Lord English, like some contrived bullshit that basically would make no sense at all. And I just don't like that. I don't buy it. There's no clear and concise reasoning. Like, don't get me wrong, it's okay to be convoluted. It's okay to have like this deep story with some twists and turns. But when you start dealing with concepts like time, paradoxes, and in this case like multiple timelines and like lifelines in this case, especially with concepts like multiple universes, things are going to get way too contrived if you expand on them too much. That's why things like Act 4 and Act 5 and Act 6 in the beginning kind of worked out. Because it was like, okay, here's one generation of kids, one generation of trolls, we mentioned the ancestors a little bit, but they don't really affect us all that much. Then you have this other generation of kids who affects, you know, who are from the future, who affect, you know, our current generation of these 4 kids. And by current generation, I mean things like John, Dave, Jade, and Rose. And by future, I mean Jane, Dirk, Roxy, and Jake. You know, so stuff like that. So clearly, it shows that there's the there's the present, there's the future, there's direct correlations, cause and effect. It's simple, it's linear, it works. But then after that, you have the trolls and stuff like that, where it's like, well, there's 12 of us. 12 is already a big number. You could have, heck, if you wanted to, you could have made Homestuck about just the 12 trolls and doing their session. I'm pretty sure it would have turned out to be pretty good. I mean, like, 12 is a large number for a cast of characters, but it's still consistent. It still kind of works. But in this case, they decided to just combine it all, make it 20. You're pushing the limit a little bit and it's just fine. Then the Beforest troll shows up and everything gets thrown out the window. You have these new kinds of trolls who in this case kind of, you know, make fun of things like Twitter and Tumblr logic and stuff like that. Even though I really didn't invest myself into those things all that often. You know, so I didn't really get the jokes. I was just like, what does all of this stuff mean? I just want to read my goddamn story. But now you have these contrived, convoluted plots, and Act 6 altogether, like a large bulk, a majority of it, just seemed like a failure to me. Like, the flashes were great and all, they were cool, but it just feels as though there's this major failure that happened here, especially with things like how John has, you know, breath powers and is able to go throughout Terezi's mind, I think, and, you know, fix all of the situations that happened because fuck all, I guess. Like, it just, there was way too many contrived situations, and it feels like the Deus Ex Machina concept was used way too often in Homestuck Act 6 in order for it to, you know, be properly saved. Then after that, Act 7 was just one big flash animation, and that was basically it, you know. Didn't really explain how Lord English got defeated. It's kind of just like, oh, we're gonna leave that up for interpretation, and, you know, you're just gonna have to work with it. And not only that, I think that the biggest thing that they could have improved on is how they manage their money. I mean, let's fucking face it, Hive Swap is not coming out. Not ever. I mean, Hive Swap is basically like part 5 for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in anime form. It's probably never gonna happen, and if it does happen, it's gonna be hella late. Just kidding, I think that part 5 is gonna happen sometime in, you know, winter of next year, or early spring, whatever. But Hive Swap, never gonna happen. And if it does happen, it's not gonna be like the trailers, it's not gonna be as good as people were making it out to be. I mean, fuck, they had millions of dollars, and back when I was in high school, I think freshman year or whatever, when they did this, I kind of felt bad for not donating. I was going to like say like, okay, I'm gonna do a YouTube Let's Play series of this my sophomore year when it comes out. It didn't happen. Junior year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna keep reading Homestuck. I'm gonna keep doing it. Didn't happen. Senior year, it's like spring of senior year finally coming to an end for me, you know, last year. And I was like, well, Homestuck's over with. I can cross off my list. I guess Hive Swap's not happening either. If Hive Swap does happen, I'm probably not going to bother myself to make a gaming video for it because it just seems like a big old waste of time. All of this money down the drain. And you know, I think that that's the biggest thing that they could have improved on. Money management and story management. Andrew Hussey knew that he could not mix a story while working on a game at the same time. And if you are going to do something like that, if you are going to work on something like that, find competent people, or at least make some strong connections before going out to do something like this. Andrew Hussey had strong connections when it came to, like, you know, writing stories and creating music with like Toby, Radiation Fox and everything. So of course, you know, that's why everything turned out so stellar and spectacular, because he knew competent people that were capable of doing the things that he needed in order to achieve. When it came to creating a game though, he didn't know anybody, and in each time he ended up getting fucked over so many times that it's not even funny anymore. So stick with what you're good at, or at least try to get to know people who are good at it. And the moment that you do, you know, it'll turn out to be something great, like the beginning of Homestuck. Otherwise, you're going to get the end of Homestuck, this big confused mess, because you're trying to balance two things. One thing that you're actually capable of doing, and the other thing which is just downright impossible. So yeah.
I feel like you guys have heard me ramble on for long enough. Here's a commercial break. You guys earned it.
Are you ready for Homestuck's hottest hits? Then get ready for Now Those Are Some Tunes Volume 10. Do you remember where you were every time John died? Think it'll stick this time? Don't hold your breath. It's time to ascend. Looks like those Strider boys are in trouble again. And not just because kissing boys is illegal. Heads up, it's speed up. Forces of light and darkness locked in a battle over the ultimate creative potential. And the only way to win is to press play on Sky and Starstorm. The chosen of the horror terrors and the last of the rainbow drinkers, Rosemary is the sweetest spice in Lilith and Starlight. Remember when a dog chased another dog for 3 years? Now that's what I call a fetch quest, or a solar voyage. Available now for Bandcamp or direct download. Casual CUD not accepted. Warning, the number band has not featured on this album.
He came from the street and into your house. Non-stop hip-hop. The 32 fattest hits of all time on 2 CDs and 2 cassettes. Come on, do the Humpty Hump. Check it out, y'all. You can't get this 32-track collection in any store. Non-stop hip-hop takes you way back to when style was fresh, rhymes were dope, and life was good. You can order this collection online at MusicSpace.com. Every artist on Non-Stop Hip Hop is on their way to the Rap Hall of Fame. myself, and Why wait? Order this collection by Rush Delivery.
Now they dropping and yelling, it's a tad bit late. Nate Dogg and Warren G had to regulate.
If you order by credit card now, you'll get a free non-stop hip-hop medallion. You'll be macking and attacking with non-stop hip-hop. To order, call the number on your screen or log on to MusicSpace.com. Save COD charges and order by credit card now. Rush Delivery available.
What do you think of / how do you feel about Homestuck now that it's over?
So now Homestuck has finally come to a close. You know, it's really opened up my schedule a little bit to attend to other webcomics. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The fact that Homestuck was on so many hiatuses, I was actually able to catch up with so many webcomics of mine once again, like Sandra and Wu, League of Super Redundant Heroes. I actually got through half of Girl Genius while Homestuck was on hiatus, so that really said a lot. Heck, I was basically almost able to catch up with things like Two Kinds and Bittersweet Candy Bowl, so that really showed, and like those are, well, not Bittersweet Candy Bowl, but Two Kinds is really fucking long if you have to start all the way from the beginning. So, you know, that just goes to show how much time these hiatuses took up. And when Homestuck ended, at first I was like, yeah, it's a little bit of a heavy feeling on me. But after that, like a week later, I kind of just moved on. That was basically it. Like, for Homestuck in this case, it had this huge, impactful part of my life to where I would spend, like, sunrise to sunset reading this thing, you know? I got through Act 1, I got through Act 2, then Act 3 happened, and it was like, okay, just getting a little interesting. Then Act 4, I was going full speed, just like, not stopping at all. Then all of a sudden, you know, I finally make it, I catch up, I see Cascade, it's beautiful, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm feeling. Then after that, Act 6 comes along, and it's Jane and stuff like that, and the Alpha Kids, and you know, I'm still keeping up the pace. I'm letting all my high school friends, or in this case, the only friend that read Homestuck with me, like, hey, you know, it happened, let's go and read it. So then we would read it and stuff like that. But then with all of these hiatuses and stuff like that, I was still interested. It still kept me clinging on. But when I realized how long these things were going to take, I was like, I need to find something else to do, because this is just fucking taking way too long. And I was able to catch up with all of these other webcomics that I don't want to say are better than Homestuck, because, you know, comparing like something like League of Super Redundant Heroes to Homestuck is like comparing apples and bananas. You know, they're two completely different genres and they don't really work out. The only difference was that League of Super Redundant Heroes was consistent. The thing with all the other webcomic artists that I end up meeting up with, and you know, or end up reading about, and Andrew Hussey, is that they know how to keep this clear and consistent schedule, while Hussey is just like, you know, I'll release it whenever, but along with that, I'll release like multiple pages for you to read. Now, the multiple pages part was nice, but the fact that there was no consistency and I had to keep checking up on it every day because you never knew when this guy was going to post something, that's the thing that really irked me. And the moment that I knew Homestuck was over with, you know, the hiatuses were just so long and everything, I was just like, there's really no point to care anymore. Yeah, my favorite webcomic is going away, but it went away in a YouTube video that at first didn't even really work that well, because not because it crashed or anything. I mean, this wasn't like Cascade or anything. This was more along the lines of that Adobe Flash Player was messing up at my school and stuff like that, so I couldn't properly see it. And then the moment that I did see it, it was very underwhelming. Like, yes, it's nice that they all got their endings. Yes, it's nice that they spent all of this money doing this, you know, professional anime looking style kind of thing. But in the end, I was like, what's the payoff? What was really the point here? Yeah, they made a new universe. Yes, they, you know, everybody saved the day. yes, it's assumed Lord English was killed by the White House, but after that I was just like, there's no real point. There's nothing for me to root for. There's nothing for me to say, yes, look what happened there. Like, there was nothing. So in this case, not a Homestuck ended, it just kind of like, it was no longer like, instead of it being like a office manager finally getting a workload of paper off of him because he's now on vacation, it was more along the lines of like, it's kind of like waiting at the end of a line. At first it's very inconvenient, but if you wait for it, then after that you reach the front of the line, you get your order or your meal, and then you're like, oh, well, look at that. Like, it wasn't dynamic. So that's why I say, like, now that Homestuck's over with, I don't feel anything. Maybe because it's been a year, but you would think that after a year, you know, it would be dynamic, it would kind of stick with you. I mean, heck, I'm pretty sure that once the 1 year anniversary for regular show ending kind of comes in, I'm still going to feel some things because that was an impactful finale. It had a big impact. As to where this, it was just like, there's nothing. So I'm going to stop rambling here and just basically put it simply like this. It had no effect. It possibly will no longer have an effect on me. And that's just the end of the story.
Do you have a Homestuck OC? Want to explain it?
Do I have an OC? Kind of. I mean, honestly, the OC is just supposed to be some kind of self-insert character, like almost every single other OC is. You know, I feel that but the thing is that with Homestuck, the difference between having a allowable Homestuck OC and having an allowable OC in, say, something like Naruto or Bleach or an anime, or having a allowable OC in, say, like the DC universe or, you know, the Marvel universe, like, there's clear differences here. And the thing is that with Homestuck, you're kind of allowed to put self-inserts. Like, I'm pretty sure if I were to just shove myself, like everything, like character traits, the good things about me, the bad things about me, everything, I could go off as a passable Homestuck character. Because that's kind of the thing about Homestuck, is that you could put yourself in there and it can almost seem relatable. Now, not every single time it's going to be relatable and stuff like that, but I feel like that you don't have to really like beef yourself up or give yourself this luxurious story and everything. I could basically say, hey, look, GrandOwlGaming found this Homestuck game and he ended his world. Now I feel like, you know, now I feel this crippling emotional problem going on with me because, you know, everyone around me is gone and stuff like that, and I can't really stand being alone. So, like, that right there, I can't stand being alone. That's a character trait of mine, and that's something that's allowable in Homestuck. You can just put yourself in there and it would work. Try putting yourself, like you yourself, in something like, say, I don't know, like hell, like Bleach or something like that. That would only pass off and work if you were, like, say, a human and stuff like that. But try being a Shinigami or a Quincy or an Arankar and stuff like that. And because you're in a different environment, and it's almost like you have to start from the ground up again and build not yourself, but this entirely different character based off of your environments and surroundings. It's almost like the nature versus nurture argument. So, like, an example would be like comparing myself to the Quincy OC that I have in Bleach and stuff like that. You know, it's basically me and stuff like that. But in this case, I have to be a bit more stricter and stuff like that. I have to be a bit more calm and level-headed. I can't, you know, it's not like me whenever I'm playing on the Xbox or something and I'm just going wild and crazy. I can't go wild and crazy in a fight or something like that. I have to stay calm and level-headed. Why? Because I'm a Quincy and I do ranged attacks, and basically, if I'm going to be fighting for the glory of the Vandenreich, I'm going to have to stay calm and collected, like cool, calm, and collected, as to where in Homestuck it's just like I can be myself, I can be exactly who I want to be, and then after that, I still pass off as a character. So when it comes to if I have an OC, the answer is yes, but at the same time, the OC is myself, so do with that what you will.
Any final thoughts?
My final thoughts on Homestuck. Well, this is basically the end of the video, so I might as well just do this now. Homestuck in this case, I want to say, is very impactful to a person who finds it and reads it from the very beginning. And I mean, like, no skimping out, no bullshit. You have to climb the mountain in order to really reach this nirvana like place that this fandom is talking about. You want to know why people are gray? You want to know why people are wearing these horns and wearing these silly costumes? You want to know why people are running around with pajamas claiming to be gods and everything? You gotta understand that you have to climb the mountain in order to be with these gray horned pajama wearing god people. You gotta understand where the base is and work your way up, because the moment that you do is the moment that you end up, experiencing something great. A lot of people berate the Homestuck fandom, for, kind of becoming quote unquote Tumblrized, or, seeming a lot like Undertale fandom and stuff like that. But I feel that once you've taken the journey and gotten the experience, that's the moment that it becomes, it becomes more than just look at this silly fandom. Now, you can either take it upon yourself to go further in there and call yourself family, or just look on the outside like I did as a spectator. I read my story and I see what the fandom does, and I'm like, hey, that's cool, And the surprising part about it is that I can look at this fandom, I can look at its rise and its fall, the moment where it was at its most powerful and the moment it was at its most vulnerable. And even now, almost 2 years after it's all been over with, it's still kind of going, it's still kind of rowing and stuff like that. So in this case, this is, it might seem silly, it might seem contrived, it might seem stupid and boring at first, but it's just like college almost. Once you get through all the stupid and boring stuff, you end up immersing yourself in this world that you kind of almost don't want to leave, because it feels like the golden days. It feels like this is the highlight, not the highlight of your life, but the highlight of what you're reading. And that's what Homestuck was to me back in middle school. That was my highlight. That was the biggest thing. There was this Belmont Cemetery video that we had to do with me and my friend Mitchell Matthews Media back when we were in middle school. And if you notice, I have the make her a member of the Midnight Crew, in the kind of like as the background music playing. So just, if you really want to do it, read Homestuck. If you really want to immerse yourself, if you really want to understand what everyone's talking about, get through the boring stuff and climb the mountain. Because trust me, it will get better. It doesn't seem like it now, but it will get better. And there's just no greater feeling than that. So, yeah. Either way, if you liked what you just saw right there, be sure to subscribe to GrandOwlGaming, be sure to donate to the Patreon, be sure to like me on Twitter and Facebook. Also, be sure to follow me on Tumblr, because I'm trying to draw, I'm trying to do something else. Speaking of drawing, drawing relates to writing, so follow me on writing.com. or at least read something. I need a review. Give me some feedback, people. And all in all, have a nice day. This is the Grand Owl signing out. Stay gold.